Palermo. Back in 1900, a group of students and English expats decided Sicily needed a football club. The problem, however, was that nobody could agree on what colours to wear. The early kits were red and blue, which, according to local legend, were so uninspiring that the players themselves wanted a change. Then came Count Giuseppe Airoldi, who suggested pink and black, pink for the joy of victory, black for the sadness of defeat. It was dramatic, poetic, and very Sicilian. And the club also had this rather charmingly long name, Anglo-Palermitan Athletic and Football Club, because Palermo FC was apparently too short for their taste. The colours became their trademark, even though they briefly ditched them in the 30s under Mussolini's Italy, when manly colours were preferred. But the pink came back, and today, Palermo still wears it proudly. Athletic Bilbao. If Palermo's origin is colourful, Athletic Bilbao's is stubborn, and proudly so. The club was born at the turn of the 20th century, thanks to Basque locals and British shipyard workers who brought football over. But Bilbao wasn't just picking up a sport, they were shaping an identity. Early on, Athletic decided they would only field Basque players, men born or raised in the Basque country, or trained there as youngsters. It wasn't written into law, but it became a sacred club policy. The reasoning was partly cultural pride, partly a belief in nurturing local talent, and partly a reflection of the political tensions of the time. This self-imposed restriction has led to some fascinating stories, like in 1911, when the Spanish Football Federation actually accused them of cheating by sneaking in foreign players. Bilbao doubled down instead and wore their policy like armour. To this day, they've never abandoned it. They're the ultimate we'll do it our way club. Boca Juniors. Boca Juniors' founding in 1905 is pure working class energy. A group of Italian immigrants from Genoa, known locally as Zanizis, set up the club in the La Boca neighbourhood. The problem was, they couldn't decide on team colours, just like Palermo. The first kits were actually pink, which lasted about as long as you'd expect in the rough and tumble world of early Argentine football. Then they switched to black and white, but another team already had that. The solution was, they decided the next ship to enter the port would determine their colours, and when a Swedish ship sailed in, they took its blue and yellow flag, and Boca's famous colours were born. The club's name also comes from the neighbourhood itself, and over the years, Boca became a cultural institution, the voice of the working class, the club of Diego Maradona, and home to one of the most intimidating stadiums in the world, La Bombonera, all because of a random ship in the harbour, Ajax. Ajax's story starts in 1900 in Amsterdam with three friends, Handad, Floris Stempel, and Karel Rieser. They named their club after the Greek hero Ajax, who was known for his bravery in the Trojan War. And personally, I think that was an ambitious choice for a team that didn't yet have a pitch to call home. In their early years, they played in red and white striped shirts with black shorts, but when they were promoted to the top division in 1911, they had to change. Another team already wore those colours, so Ajax switched to their now iconic white shirt with a single broad red stripe down the middle. The club's early growth was chaotic, so chaotic that they once had to forfeit a season because they forgot to pay their registration fee. But within decades, Ajax became a powerhouse, producing legends like Johan Cruyff. Hey, if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't let it stop here. Like and subscribe so you have first-hand access to the videos as soon as they drop. Next up, we have Al Ittihad. Al Ittihad's origins are as historic as Saudi football gets. It was founded in 1927 in Jeddah, and that makes it the oldest club in the country. Back then, organised football in Saudi Arabia was basically non-existent. Matches were informal, dusty affairs played by students, merchants, and sailors. But Al Ittihad's founders wanted something more permanent, so they created a club whose name literally means the Union, symbolising unity in a rapidly changing port city. Their first stadium was little more than a patch of dirt, with fans gathering in whatever shade they could find. Resources were scarce, in fact. Players often bought their own boots or played barefoot. But the passion was huge. The club's black and yellow colours were chosen later, representing strength and energy, and over time, Al Ittihad became a giant of Saudi football. AC Milan. AC Milan's beginning in 1899 is the kind of origin story that feels almost cinematic. Two Englishmen, Alfred Edwards and Herbert Kilpin, set up the Milan Football and Cricket Club because football alone apparently wasn't enough. Kilpin, who was a Nottingham-born lace worker with a flair for the dramatic, declared the team would wear red and black to strike fear into the hearts of their opponents. Red was for fire, and black for the opponent's fear. It's basically the football equivalent of a metal album cover. Milan's English influence is so deep that the club's name is still pronounced the English way. Milan, not Milano. They started small by playing local matches before quickly becoming one of Italy's top sides. The club even survived a major split in 1908 when disagreements over signing foreign players led to the birth of their city rivals Inter Milan. Talking about Inter Milan Inter Milan was basically born out of a football civil war. In 1908, some members of AC Milan were sick of the club's strict only Italians policy for players. They wanted international talent, and the board didn't agree, so these rebels walked out, set up their own club, and named it Internazionale to make a point. The founders even met in a fancy Milan restaurant, and legend has it that the design for the famous black and blue badge was sketched on the spot between cigars and wine. From day one, Inter was built on the idea of welcoming players from all over, which turned into a tradition that's still core to their identity. They've been winning trophies while embracing stars from Argentina to Sweden, and even though their rivalry with AC Milan is now one of the fiercest in football, it started as a simple disagreement over who was allowed to play: Barcelona. Barcelona's origin story feels like a snowball effect started by a newspaper ad. In 1899, Swiss football enthusiast Hans Gamper had just arrived in the city, and because he was missing the game, he put an advert in Los Deportes looking for players to form a club. 11 people showed up, and they decided on the name Football Club Barcelona. But here's the twist. Early on, Barca wasn't just about football. They had athletics, rugby, and even a cycling team. The club quickly became a hub for Catalan identity, especially during politically tense times, which meant supporting Barca was more than just about the sport. It was a statement. That blend of sport, politics, and culture was baked in from the very start. Today, the motto Més que un club isn't just marketing. It's the same rebellious spirit that drew 11 strangers into a dusty meeting room to answer a Swiss guy's newspaper ad. Liverpool. Liverpool's beginning is basically a messy landlord dispute that got out of hand. In 1892, Everton were playing at Anfield, but a rent disagreement between the club and the stadium owner, John Holding, caused a split. Everton packed up and moved to Goodison Park, leaving Holding with an empty ground. Instead of letting it sit, he decided, fine, I'll make my own team. He formed Liverpool Football Club on the spot and originally called them Everton Athletic until the FA told him no. They started in blue and white rather than the iconic red, and within a few years they were attracting massive crowds. The irony, though, is that Liverpool's biggest rival came from the exact same city and even the exact same pitch. That origin set the tone for a club that thrives on passion, identity, and proving a point. Sheffield FC. Sheffield FC isn't just old, it's the world's first official football club. It was founded in 1857 by Nathaniel Creswick and William Prest, two cricket players who wanted something to play in winter. They basically had to make the rules from scratch, and that's exactly what they did, creating the Sheffield rules, which influenced the modern laws of the game. Back then, things were loose. There were no crossbars, no set pitch size, and throw-ins could go in any direction. The early matches were often between the club's own members, and they wore whatever they had, from cricket whites to coloured caps. Sheffield FC never turned into a giant like United, but their origin is pure history. They're recognised by FIFA as the first, and their motto, play the game, comes straight from their founders' belief that football was about sportsmanship as much as winning. Red Star FC. Red Star FC's beginnings are tied to both rebellion and intellect. In 1897, Jules Rimet, who would later create the World Cup, wanted to start a football club in Paris. He formed Red Star with his friends, and chose the name not for political reasons, but because he liked the badge design of the shipping company Red Star Line. Early on, Red Star had a reputation as the working-class club of Paris, and they attracted fans and players who weren't part of the elite sporting scene. The mix of Rimet's vision and the club's outsider identity made them unique, and even if they never became as famous as PSG, their history still carries that sense of independence. A club built less for glamour and more for the love of the game. Palmeiras. Palmeiras started life in 1914 as Palestra Italia, founded by Italian immigrants in São Paulo who wanted a club to represent their community. They wore green and white and quickly became a force in Brazilian football. But during World War II, Brazil joined the Allies, and the government banned clubs from using names that referenced Axis powers. That meant Palestra Italia had to change or shut down. Just hours before a big match, they rebranded as Palmeiras, kept the green and the badge, but said goodbye to the old name. In their first game under the new identity, they they won the Sao Paulo State Championship, almost as if to prove nothing had changed except the letters on the shirt. That wartime origin gave Palmeiras a survivor's mentality, and even today, the club wears its history proudly, knowing it's been tested and reborn before. So next time someone tells you football is just a game, point them here, because every club isn't just colours and crests. It's sailors, poets, rebels, landlords, and one guy who forgot to pay a registration fee. And if you've got a weird, dramatic, or completely accidental origin story of your own, drop it in the comments. Let's see who can top the guys who picked their colours from a random ship.